Well, good morning, everyone. How are you? Welcome to another live this morning, and we appreciate you guys coming on as usual. And let's say hello to a few folks here as I clean my glasses so I can see something. My word. And who's number one there? Brahim, my friend. How you doing? And Mike from Norland. I don't even need my glasses. Wendy, good morning. And Lori from Alberta. And Manette. Who did I miss? Karen Kincarden. And let me see. Carol, West Virginia. And Rose, how are you, from Brenton? Mary, who did I miss? I missed someone from Niagara Falls. Come on back up there. Nativity. Frida. And Andrea, good morning. And Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia. There's our friend Kevin. Kevin's back in Ontario. Nellie, good morning. Fran from Orangeville. And Wendy from Markham, good morning. And Keith, good morning to you. And Deb from Motown, Detroit, Michigan. Yalang, bonjour. Catherine from Parksville, British Columbia. Mary from West Lincoln. Doris Kitchener. And Andrea. I missed you, Andrea, from the Kidneys of Canada. Thanks for coming back up, Judy. And Kristen and Victoria, good morning. And Julie, how are you? And Cheryl from West Virginia. Madeleine, Kippawa, Quebec, bonjour. Barbara from Kansas. I missed you, Barbara, sorry. Frida from Sudbury. Len and Judy. There you guys are. Haven't seen you in a while. Len and Judy from Edmonton. Jeanette from our staff. Jeanette Nicole from our staff. Bev, Saskatchewan. Good morning. Sandy, Washington State. And who else up there that wants me to say hello to them? Teresa, good morning. Andrea, Nouveau Brunswick. And Lorna. And Donna, Newfoundland. Diane, Ottawa. Deb from Timmins. You guys are such good friends. There's Doc McEwen in West Tennessee. Kate from Tirana. Bruno, good morning. And Gloria. And Eric. And Judy. Me. Hi, Judy. Carol, Nouveau Brunswick. Sue, good morning. Okay. And Val, how are you? And Debbie. And Eva. How are you, Eva? Barbara. And Anne. When's the last time I told you guys that I love you? Gary from Bolton. Two more. Veronica, how are you? And Marcia from Mexico. Good morning. And Chilliwack, I couldn't see it. Cecilia from Sudbury. Okay. Now, guys, let me answer a couple of questions that were asked. And we're going to get into DHA again. Okay, so what did we do yesterday? Just in case you missed yesterday's program, I want to do a little bit of a review because people asked me when I was scrolling down afterwards, people had asked some very, very good questions on what we had just taught, okay? So yesterday, the theme was, what's the difference in fats, okay? What am I showing you here? A DHA capsule, omega-3. What's the difference between the fat in that capsule or the fat you eat in a steak or fatty fish or fatty hamburger? What's the difference between this, okay, and this specifically is a high DHA capsule, okay? And we talked about this, the importance of this yesterday, versus this. 1 pound of visceral fat, okay? We talked about the differences yesterday. why one fat is good for you and having the other fat inside your body is not. Okay? And we spent a considerable amount of time yesterday going through this, but there were some very good questions that came up, and I want to answer those before I get into another study that just came out on DHA. I'm telling you, yesterday came out on DHA. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's answer some questions that were asked during the program yesterday. And of course, when you ask it, guys, during the program, there's a 99% chance I'm not going to see it because it's scrolling and I'm talking and I can't read and I'm not reading. I can't focus in on that. The odd time I see it, but generally I don't see it till after the program. So here were some questions asked, and I think we should go through with this, okay? And a very good question was asked, well, how do we know if we have visceral fat? If you can't see it. Sometimes you can see it, right? If you got belly fat, you got visceral fat. Belly fat is dangerous fat. Okay, so some skinny people, they're not considered obese. They're not necessarily healthy at all. And this is why we talk about that. Like yesterday, we talked about some obesity, but at the end of the day, if you have this fat around your organs, visceral fat, it's dangerous fat. And it's an organ unto itself. We'll answer that through some of the questions. But how do we know if we have visceral fat forming inside and around your organs? Well, the best way to know this, if you can't see it, is blood tests. Guys, this is one of the reasons I talk about those 8 critical tests, okay? 8 critical tests. Number 1, if your triglycerides are up, okay? Your triglycerides are up. 3 fat balls, that test. When you send me your lipids, when you send me blood work, I'm happy to look at your blood work. I really am. Okay, I mean it. Because I see my job is to educate my audience. Okay? Educate my audience. I went to the dentist yesterday, and the technician there was telling me, I didn't know this, she listens to our podcast. I was very happy to hear that. I said, well, I don't know even a quarter of my audience, but I am aiming at educating my audience so that, I know this is a diversion, but I got to tell you, I watched a little clip yesterday of Dana White. You know who that is? Dana White is the head of what wrestling federation? Okay, the WWF, I think. Okay, whatever. And he said, okay, just a little clip that I saw on social media. It was interesting to me because he said this. Okay, here's what he said. I am no longer going to doctors. Okay, but he didn't stop there. He said, look, if I've got a broken arm, I'm going to a doctor. If I need stitches, I'm going to a doctor. If you have an emergency, he said, I'm going to a doctor. But he said, when it comes to my general health, I'm no longer going to my doctor anymore. Because all they want to do is push pills. They don't know anything about nutrition. They don't know anything about prevention. And guys, like when I saw that yesterday, I kind of said, you know what, he's right in a lot of ways. And I don't mean to discourage people from going to their physicians. I don't. But medicine has been hijacked. It's been hijacked by Big Pharma. And doctors today are trained, no matter what the condition, is to give you a pill for it. And guys, that's not prevention. It's, you know what I mean? It's a Band-Aid. And I'm not saying not to take your pills. Okay? That's between you and Doc. But what I want you to understand is my job, I feel, my calling to you is to educate you. That is why I have no problem at all when you send me your blood work. I don't mind. I actually encourage you. Okay? Now, I'm not telling you when you get blood work to me or whatever, I will not tell you to come off medication. I will not tell you to not take statin drugs. I will not tell you that. What I am getting you to do is to take responsibility for your own health as much as possible. You're responsible. And I want you to understand the concepts of basic nutrition. And you know me, sun, steak, steel, sleep. If you guys get that, and I know you do, the smartest audience on the planet belongs to me. And I mean it. Guys, I mean it. When it comes to health, there's no audience anywhere that compares to our audience, okay? Now, we put out a lot of information, but my job is for you to understand it. You don't need a PhD. You really don't. And I want you to be proactive. I really want I don't care how old you are, I want my audience to be proactive. And this is why I hammer out that information on a daily basis. Now, okay, how do you know if you have hidden visceral fat around your organs? I can tell you with almost no exceptions to this, almost no one, is if your triglycerides are high and your HDL is low, you have visceral fat. And it's probably around your liver more than anywhere else. But that doesn't mean it's not anywhere else. You can't see it. But if your triglycerides are high and your HDL is low, you see why I focus in on those two? I focus in on those two because they're so indicative of problems. And again, where medicine has been hijacked, they're looking at LDL. They really have missed the boat, in my opinion, on heart disease, on liver disease, on dangerous fat, because they're taught LDL. They're taught cholesterol is bad. And 99% of every physician in North America believes that cholesterol is still the culprit when it comes to heart disease. And that's why statins are the #1 selling medication of all time. It, in my opinion, based on faulty premise. Okay, I've taught you that 1,000 times. And Lord willing, if he keeps me on the planet, I'll teach it till the cows come home. Cholesterol is good. Triglycerides are bad. High triglycerides are bad. Okay, you got it? And if you have high triglycerides, which the vast majority of people have bad triglycerides and low HDL, which is exactly opposite of what should happen. And that is a sign that you have visceral fat that you don't even know about. And some people can see it because it's obvious, but a lot of people can't see that fat because it's around the organs and you have no idea. Okay? So, if you have, and that's the one I look at the most. Okay? Now, I'm still interested, of course, in anything related to metabolic syndrome. So I'm interested in your blood pressure. Okay? Now, I'm not getting that in your blood work, but if you're, I'm interested in blood pressure. I'm interested in your A1C. Not so much blood sugar, but if your A1C is above 5.4, then you have visceral fat almost guaranteed. Okay? But the biggest one is the triglycerides and HDL, high density lipoprotein. Okay? So, remember that. Okay? Why would triglycerides go high in the bloodstream? Because you have some form of fatty liver. And when the liver gets full of fat, not by eating fat, actually the opposite, by eating sugar. Especially high fructose corn syrup. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so I answered the question, how do we know if we have visceral fat? If you can't see it. Okay? How do you know if we have visceral fat if you can't see it? Okay, now, how much DHA, people are asking, okay? How much DHA? Well, if you take 2 capsules of this, guys, is a pharmaceutical, we call it a pharmaceutical grade DHA. Why? Because this is a very exclusive, guys, go and shop and look for DHA. Why do I tell you to look for DHA? Okay, remember, DHA and EPA are only found in the animal kingdom of fats. Okay? They're not found in the plant kingdom. Because somebody asked the question. Okay? They asked the question, what about olive oil? Is that a good oil? Yeah. I like olive oil. But it's not because it's got DHA in it or EPA. It's a different oil. It's a different fat. Okay? Olive oil is a good oil. It is. I like it. I like bacon better. Because bacon's got the same oil. Oleic acid. It's a fatty acid. Oleic. Okay? Olive oil has it. Beautiful. Okay? Beautiful. Nothing wrong with it. But it doesn't have DHA. And it doesn't have EPA. Okay? Because it's not in the animal kingdom. And bacon doesn't have DHA. Probably has a little bit of EPA, but it's full of oleic acid, which I like. I like oleic acid. It's a healthy fat. Got it? Okay. Thanks for that question. Okay. And the other one was, I guess I mentioned this yesterday. I don't remember during the program. I talked to, oh yeah, I did. I do remember. Sorry. I take that back. I'm showing you the 1 pound of visceral fat. Okay, see it? Got it? 1 pound. Pretty big for a pound, right? So when you lose 5 pounds on the reset, you're not losing muscle, but you're losing fat. Woohoo! Be happy. Okay? Be happy. Because you're too hard on yourself. Dr. Martin, I've only lost 5 pounds. But you don't realize how important that 5 pounds of fat that has left your body. Why is that? We talked about it yesterday. Okay? Visceral fat is a fat unto itself. Okay? Visceral fat creates inflammation in the body. The body sees it as a foreign object, okay? And it creates an inflammatory response, okay? And somebody mentioned this even in the question. Dr. Martin, you forgot to talk about toxins. Well, that's right, I did. I'm a senior. Every day I pull out my senior card. I forgot. When I forget something, I go, hey, I'm a senior. I like that. I got an excuse, guys. I pull that card out every day. And I say, I forgot, I'm a senior. It's an advantage of being a senior. You can hide behind that card. Okay? Now, this, and somebody brought it up in the questions on the scrolling after the program. Dr. Martin, you forgot to talk about toxins. And it's true. Visceral fat is, it's almost like it's got a magnet for toxins. We talked about a little bit of that yesterday, xenoestrogens, plastics and whatever, and all the chemicals or whatever and the toxins in your body, they love this place to hide out. Toxins love visceral fat. That makes it a problem, and then it becomes, and the more toxins that are accumulating here, the more your body responds to it by creating an inflammatory response. You see, your body's smart. It says you got something foreign in there. I'm going to get out the ambulance and I'm going to go to the scene, and they go, okay? And the other thing, and vitamin D is what? A fat-soluble vitamin. So if you have a lot of visceral fat, vitamin D has a tendency to be in the fat and not in your bloodstream where it belongs, helping you. This is why people that are obese, for example, they have extremely low levels of vitamin D, and they might even be taking some vitamin D. But nobody's told them that it's fat soluble and it loves to sit in fat. Okay? That's why it's important to take vitamin D with K2. Because K2 will take vitamin D and put it where it belongs. And it will take calcium, and that is made from vitamin D, and put it where it belongs. Okay? But you know me and the sun. I love the sun. You need the sun. Anyway, that's just something I wanted to talk about. And then there was something else asked about, okay, because I mentioned, was it yesterday that I mentioned flax seeds? Or somebody else asked the question. Okay, Dr. Martin, why do you like flax seeds? Let me just divert just for a second. Flax seeds, people don't understand the difference between phytoestrogens, okay? Phytoestrogens and xenoestrogens. Here's the difference. Phytoestrogens, like flaxseed, is very good for you. Why is that? Because lignans, which are phytoestrogens, okay? Lignans, lignans. They're phytoestrogens. And this is why a lot of people in the natural industry or whatever, they go, don't touch flax seeds. They're phytoestrogens, meaning that they're going to increase your estrogen. No, they don't. They block estrogen. They lower estrogen. Whereas xenoestrogens, okay, chemicals, plastics, you name it, soy, like today's soy isn't what it should be, okay? And that can be a xenoestrogen because that will elevate your estrogen. You don't want that. Ladies, you don't want to elevate your estrogen Men, you don't want to elevate your estrogen. You got enough already. Okay? But the difference is the phytoestrogen and the xenoestrogens. Got it? Okay, because that's really important. That's why Dr. Martin even allows on the reset flax seeds, blocking estrogen, because estrogen is a growth hormone. And we talk about that all the time. And how much DHA, because that was a question I'm asked. Okay. In 2 capsules, you've got almost 3,000 milligrams of DHA. Now, like I said, you ain't gonna find that anywhere. But the reason I did that, the reason the Martin Clinic did that, and it's not easy to make this stuff, it's pharmaceutical grade, is because I'm such a big believer in DHA. Okay? I like EPA. I like ALA. I do. But there's nothing like DHA. Your brain's made up of DHA. Your eyeballs are made up of DHA. It's a very specific fatty acid, and it is the best thing since sliced bread. I know that expression. I shouldn't say sliced bread. I talk against bread all the time, even though I love it. Okay, now, let me get to the DHA thing, okay? Let me get to the DHA new study. Out of Oregon State, okay? The biggest problem we're having in society today is a problem nobody's talking about. And that is fatty liver. Okay? And remember our expression here at the Martin Clinic. Your liver is not Las Vegas. Because what I mean by that is, you know how they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Kind of catchy. And that caught on in the world, and they said, what happens? You go to Vegas, and what happens there stays there, and nobody finds out what happened in Vegas, right? Well, one thing about your liver, it's not Las Vegas. What do I mean by that? Because what happens inside the liver is going to affect the rest of your body. Okay? So, the number one problem, metabolic syndrome. The biggest problem in our society, 93% of the population are unwell metabolically, which is characterized by high triglycerides, low HDL, elevated blood pressure. One of the 3 out of these things you need to get diagnosed with metabolic syndrome. Belly fat, okay? Even normal elevated blood sugar, still normal, but it's elevated. Okay? And I put uric acid in there. I look for uric acid numbers. Okay? Because that's another sign that the problem is in the liver. It starts there. What happens in the liver doesn't stay in the liver. What do triglycerides do? When your liver is full of fat, your body reacts to that by sending triglycerides, fat balls. Okay, see this? Fat balls are sent into the bloodstream. 3 fat balls specifically, and they're called triglycerides. It's normal to have some triglycerides in your bloodstream. If you don't, you're not a human being. You don't belong on this planet. Everybody has triglycerides, but you don't want to have high triglycerides. Okay? That means it started in the liver. And when the liver is full of fat, triglycerides get sent into the bloodstream. That's a problem. Because fat balls in the bloodstream will clog your arteries. They'll clog your brain vessels. And it's compounded because most people with high triglycerides have low HDL, meaning they don't have enough trucks on the highways. They don't have enough policemen. They don't have enough firemen to put out the fire in your blood vessels. You see, it all starts in the liver. And then let's take one step back. One step back. People who have fatty liver, okay? And I've seen it. I'm not kidding you guys. I'm not kidding. I've seen it in little children as young as 2 years old. I used to see it in my office. Imagine. And the reason that we see it, you guys know this answer, but I'm going to refresh your memory. The reason we see so much problem in the liver, which spreads out to the rest of the body in the form of heart disease and stroke, in the form of Alzheimer's, in the form of cancer. Okay? What's the problem? It's called high fructose corn syrup. It's a sugar made by man. And it's a liquid sugar. Even though it's been dehydrated into a solid, it's still a liquid. And high fructose corn syrup goes directly to the liver. And it's only bad. You know what I call it? The Antichrist of all sugars. It was created by man. It is highly addictive. It is super dangerous. And it's worse than cocaine for what it does to the body. But you can't see it right away. And therefore people, the food industry, we put it in our cereal, but remember, you're eating fiber and fiber. I got a neurologist. I just want to scream. I love him because he's very smart, but he just can't get over how good fiber is for you. And I want to scream blue murder. Like, it is insane how overrated fiber is, okay? And remember, you can get all the fiber you need in coffee, okay? Anyway, what happens in the liver is extremely dangerous. It starts there. That is the destination of high fructose corn syrup. And it explodes into other problems in the body, away from the liver, even though the liver is damaged. The liver packs up with fat. Okay? The liver packs up with fat. And if you're obese, okay, if you're overweight, your increase of non-alcoholic fatty liver, NAFL, okay, is up 400%. But doctors don't know. They don't think. Unless they do an ultrasound for another reason, to go, oh, you got fatty liver. And then they don't know what to do about it. But why do you have fatty liver? Because you're fat. It's visceral fat. It's in the body. And the number one reason is high fructose corn syrup. You got to lay off that stuff. It's in everything. Okay? And a study at the university, I'm going to tell you about a study that came out yesterday, but this is another study. The University of Florida did a study and they said this. Patients with fatty liver, listen to what I'm saying, consume 2 to 3 times more high fructose corn syrup than the normal population. Okay? Now here's the good news. Here's the good news. DHA, this is a new study out of Oregon State. DHA, a fat that fights fat. What? A fat, DHA, and it's only DHA where this worked, okay? Here's what Oregon State said, okay? Oregon State said at 1,000 milligrams of DHA, okay? Remember, there's more than 1,000 in here, just one capsule. You get almost 3,000 in 2, okay? It blocked the progression of fatty liver. And I taught you this yesterday. You take this fat, DHA, and what does it do? It blocks the progression of fatty liver, and it lowers your triglycerides. Dangerous fat. It lowers them. DHA. Guys, I love it. The world doesn't know what you know. They have no clue. And the world is looking for health in all the wrong places. It's not found in medication. Okay? I'm not telling you not to take meds. All I'm telling you is that isn't your basis of health. You need to understand some of the basics. And what happens in that liver doesn't stay there. It's dangerous on all levels. Heart disease, stroke, cancer, the biggest killers in society today, Alzheimer's. Remember, folks, remember this. We've always said this. Diabetes starts where? Where does diabetes start? In the liver. Diabetes starts in the liver, not the pancreas. Okay. I'm going to breathe now. Okay? I wanted to answer those good questions that I saw yesterday after the program. Okay? And I sort of dovetailed it into this new study on DHA. Okay, guys. We love you dearly. Thank you for being the greatest. You guys are the greatest. Thank you. Just on Facebook, we're almost at, we're going to have a big party when we hit 85,000 followers just on Facebook. Okay? We're almost there, guys. Tell your friends. Let's get to 85,000, then we're going to have a big party. Okay? I don't know what we'll do, but we're going to have a party. And our podcasts are up to 1.5 million downloads. Okay? We'll have a big party when we get to 2 million. Okay? On the podcast. Okay, guys. We love you dearly. Talk to you soon.